Alright, so on this video, Aaron and I are going to go visit the man that actually built his house down there, Watley. He is buried in this cemetery. I have another YouTube channel where I go around and document Georgia history, and I've been to this cemetery before. I actually came to this cemetery before I knew that it was Aaron that had Watley's house. So neat cemetery, and I've been wanting to bring him down here and show him the grave of the guy that built his house. The first thing that we notice when we walk into this cemetery, there's a lot of unique things in this cemetery. This is what was known as a false crypt. So you would have had two pieces on the side and two pieces down here, and then you would have had another piece that sat on top. Those are false crypts over there. We'll take a closer look at it in just a minute. This grave was never finished. The grave maker that came down here to do this grave, and I forgot the terminology for that, but the monument builder who came down to build this grave, he laid out all the stones and then he vanished. And he was never seen again. It's always been a mystery as to what happened to this guy, because he don't know who was supposed to be buried here either now, because he just vanished. But kind of a mystery in this cemetery that he came down here to build this grave, walked off. He left his tools in the cemetery, the tools of his trade he left in this cemetery, and he was vanished, never to be seen again.
So you're saying no one is actually buried in?
No, there is somebody buried here. They're buried underground,
but they just didn't get finished.
Yeah, so the monument here, whoever was hired to do the monument just disappeared, left all his tools and everything, and just disappeared.
Huh.
So it's been a mystery. Where did the guy go? What happened? Why did he just vanish without a trace and leave his tools here?
Right, especially leaving the tools. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if we come over here, this is another kind of creepy grave right here. This is Elizabeth Anna, who is the wife of Dr. James Young. It says who her parents were. She died March 2nd, which is my birthday, 1884, at age 48 years. But the creepy thing about this one is it says after 14 years of mystery sickness on there. Wow. So she was married to a doctor and suffered with some mystery sickness and even for the doctor 14 years. Know. Yeah. And she died here. Now, this is a Watley right here. This is Miss Mary Frances Watley. Put a shadow on it so I can see. She was born 1841 and she died 1881. So honestly, I don't know her connection, if she was married into the Watley family or she's a daughter. But if she's a daughter of Watley, she was probably born in their house.
Right.
Right here, this is Watley. This is the man that built Aaron's house. He was born in 1798. He built Aaron's house about 1826. He was a surveyor, and it's been told that a book could be written about his life. He was such a fascinating character. And of course, all we can see is the house that he built and his gravestone and two dates. But he lived, you know, a full life.
That's 2 lifetimes in the 1800s. Oh, yeah. I mean, he was not a young man when he died. He lived a full life.
Let's see what the epitaph says. It says, Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age. Looks like thee. I have my flashlight on there.
A shock of corn cometh in his season.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
They're definitely a full, I mean, that's a long time.
This is his wife. So she would have been living in the house in the now Best Family Homestead with Seaborn. It says in memory of Martha Elizabeth, wife of Seaborn J. Watley. The sun is at the worst angle and I don't have my flashlight on me. Who was
hold that. You hold that down there and I'll stand up here.
Who departed this life July 18th, 1868, aged 60 years.
So both Watleys lived to a very old age for the time frame.
This is another thing that I want to point out in the cemetery now that we're in here and looking at some different stuff. There's a very common misconception that when you see these stacked rock graves that they are Native American graves, and they're not. They are European settler graves. I'm not sure how the confusion got started with these, but these, just like the Watley grave over there, Seaborn Watley's grave, and the unfinished grave we saw coming in here, are a form of false crypt. False crypt, the burial's underground. This is just a monument on top of the ground.
So it was kind of like an early style of headstone before they started placing headstones.
So this is Samuel John Watley. He was born October 31st, 1834 and died September 12th, 1843. So probably a son of Seaborn Watley over there who died.
30, so he's only 9 years old.
Yeah, he died 9 years old. Also another thing that we will see, these stacked stone graves like this are often 1840s or pre-Civil War. They're very early graves for, well, I say very early graves, it's relatively speaking, of course, because this area was settled in 1826. So, you know, after, I consider early graves anything pre-1850.
So I can see how people would think that they were Native American graves, even though the Creek Indians didn't do burial mounds. I'm sure if they weren't taken care of, you know, and had, you know, kind of fallen apart, people, you know, 100 years later would just assume that they were, you know, like other Native American burial mounds, but that's not how the Creek Indians buried, right?
Yeah, no, Creek did not bury like this. They had burial houses, and they did not build the stacked stone like this. This is definitely a very European false crypt. This is a Livingston. This grave is from 1924, and if I recall correctly, that is the last grave out here. And I'm sure that this is like the Livingston. I'm sure he probably married into the family. Masonic grave, it says husband, Judson Livingston.
Oh yeah.
He was born August 14th, 1853 and died June 24th, 1924. So again, he probably married in.
And a lot of people may not recognize or know, you know, the Masonic symbol there. I just shows that he was a member of the Masons.
Another Livingston right here. With this is what would be considered usually a footstone. There is a grave here. You can see the depression, and you can see a field stone at the bottom. This would usually be considered a footstone. This is probably all that they could afford at the time, with a small stone like that. Again, we've got lots of box graves out here. These are probably all, you know, either children or, you know, people related to Watley. I'm not sure how the lady who died of the mystery illness, she's related. It has her parents on there, so that might tell us. Wanted to see a year on this one. So this is 1862, and you can see this isn't a box. It's just they threw some rocks on top.
You know, and 99.9% of people that even drive by have no clue that there's even a cemetery here, even though it's right next to the road.
This is Seaborn H. Watley. This would have been a grandson of Seaborn Watley, but he only lived until he was 2. He died in 1882.
and we are about a mile, maybe a mile from the homestead, the original Watley house.
Yeah. This is wife of Catherine Savannah Watley, wife of W.A. Clark, departed this life 1881, the 44th year of her age. It's interesting too. Did you see Seaborn Watley's children dying in the 1880s? And he died in 1886.
He outlived a lot of his grandchildren.
Yeah, he outlived his grandchildren and a few of his children here.
Definitely to be a fly on the wall and you know, see what kind of craziness he did.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I want to say thank you very much to.
I've got to say, I'm sorry to jump in, but she was a Watley. She was Seaborn Watley's daughter.
Okay.
That's why she was
the mystery
here.
illness. Okay.
Yeah, mystery illness is the daughter.
Well, I want to say thank you very much to Robert for giving me a tour and a little bit more history on my house, due to the history buff, and definitely does his research and loves it. And thankfully, there are people like him to help find, document, and preserve history, such as this cemetery, which is really a forgotten cemetery. You don't even know it's here. There's nothing marking it. If it wasn't for Robert's efforts, this would probably be completely forgotten in a few years. So now, along with seeing us try and put my old house, which Seaborn Watley built, back to at least somewhat of its original status, really adds a lot of value to it and lets you appreciate what you have, which I had no clue about when I first got the house. So, well, stay tuned as we continue to work on the old Seaborn Watley house. It's right now the Best Family Homestead, and hopefully in another 200 years I'm buried somewhere and it'll be like, this is where this old, butthole Aaron Best lived. And I'm sure there won't be anything nice on that, but he was a, I can't say the words on camera. Alright guys, appreciate you watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Check out Sidestep Adventures if you're interested in any of this kind of old history, because that is what Robert is all about on his channel. Sidestep Adventures is preserving history like this and showing lost and forgotten things. So have a nice day.